Well, thank you, Gayle Webre, for being with us to talk about your book, When I Was an Alligator.
Thank you for having me here.
It's published by the University of Louisiana Lafayette Press and wonderfully illustrated by Louisiana native Drew Beach. I wanted to start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what your book is about, and maybe what you hope people take away from reading your book.
Okay, about me. Well, I'm a mother of 3 adult children and a grandmother of 5 little precious ones. I've spent more than 25 years in elementary classrooms. I taught everybody from pre-Kers to 8th grade, but my specialty was designing curriculum and teaching creative thinking skills to gifted children. So today I'm retired and I spend time with my family and friends. I love reading. I spend a lot of time doing that, especially with my book club. I love collaborating with my writers group, praying with my prayer group, and I also enjoy riding my tricycle. So that's a little bit about me. About my book, When I Was an Alligator, is the story of a curious Cajun kid. You can kind of see her in the background there in my little office. She believes that she's been an alligator, and she transforms into a series of wetlands creatures, like a wood duck and a snapping turtle and a catfish and even a mosquito. But in the end, she discovers that she is happy to be who she is, which is a curious Cajun kid. The back material of the book has information for parents and teachers about the wetlands and how fragile they are. And there are also some questions that they can use to discuss with the kids. And the art, like you said, Jim, is layered. It's beautiful. The kids are going to notice more about the art each time they read the story. And there's great onomatopoeia. They love the onomatopoeia. So what I hope that people bring or get from the book, well, most important to me, I hope, first of all, that both kids and grown-ups get this fun, imaginative story that they want to read over and over again. I think that's really important. And I also think that I hope they learn something about the wetlands and the creatures in the wetlands and how fragile they are. Most people don't know that we lose 1 football field's worth of land to the Gulf of Mexico every hour. And I think that's an amazing statistic. It just shows how fragile our Louisiana coastline is. Also, I think the message that kids get, that it's fun to imagine being other things, other creatures, but in the end, it's great to be a kid, especially if they wear glasses and have really good imaginations. I think that's a really good message I hope people take from the book.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm so glad you mentioned the onomatopoeia in the book. I mean, it's really built on that, and because it is, I think it's a wonderful book to read aloud.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you.
It's so much fun because of all of those sounds that are throughout the book. Mm-hmm. Would you tell us how you connect to the state of Louisiana?
Well, I am born and raised in Southern Louisiana. Lived in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and now Lafayette. You can trace my ancestry back for generations on both sides of my family to Louisiana. My children and my grandchildren all live in Louisiana. I have all of my college degrees from Louisiana University. So I think I'm pretty well connected to the state.
Yeah, I think we can say that you're definitely a Louisiana writer.
I think so.
You know, the theme of this year's National Book Festival is Books Bring Us Together. Mm-hmm. How does your book bring people together?
Again, I think the most important thing my book can do is to bring parents and kids together in a story that they just really enjoy. I think there's something magical, important and magical, and it's almost sacred when adults read to children. So I think that's really important. And also the idea of ecology and taking care of our wetlands and our animals. I think that absolutely brings people together. And I also think that when I was an Alligator has brought me together with so many people in the writing community that I would have never met, like you, Jim. I would have never met you for this. People who love to read, the kid lit community, all of those people have been brought together by this book. And I think it's been a wonderful experience for me and hopefully for other people that I've met.
Okay. Thank you so much for those words. I appreciate it. I wanted to, we were talking about onomatopoeia. I had intended to show this as an example from your book. And so splat, I think that creates some mystery for people to read the book and get the book and see what that splat is all about. I want to ask you one more thing. Could you tell us about your writing process?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I'm alone in my writing process. I think there's been a lot of help. But I can tell you that I've always wanted to write. And as a teacher, there was always writing. There was curriculum, there were lesson plans, there were letters of recommendations for students, grants for education. But when I retired, I decided I really wanted to write for children. And so the idea for when I was an Alligator sort of came from a lot of places. I can kind of explain. When I was a little girl, my favorite story was a story about a little rabbit who wanted to be a bird. And he became a bird and finally figured out he'd rather be a rabbit. So I think the structure of the book, the message of the book comes a little bit from that. And then I brought my students and spent some time at the Wetlands Center in Lafayette here, and it was fascinating. And even growing up in Louisiana, I didn't know nearly as much about the wetlands as there is to know. We just studied the fragility. We followed a scientist who was tracking nutria to see how many nutria the marsh could sustain before it started deteriorating. And we just learned so much. And I think that was important to me in writing this book. And then my then 4-year-old great nephew walked into my house one day and announced, "Aunt Gayle, when I was an alligator," and he proceeded to tell me all about his life as an alligator. So I think I filed all of those things away, and eventually they sort of came out in this book. And I want to say that most people think, oh, it's a 480-word picture book. How hard can that be to write? You know, how long can that take to get off the ground? Well, it can take about 2 years, and it can be very difficult to write. Every word in a picture book has to count. There was lots of research that went into this. I researched lots of animals, try to figure out the ones that kids would be most interested in, and then weave them into a story. And then I had all the informational text vetted by John Foray, who is a wetland scientist, just to make sure I was on the right track. So all of those things went into the actual writing and construction of the book. And then I have to give credit to all kinds of people: my husband, my book club, my writers critique group, because they heard over and over again different versions of this story, different iterations of it, until I think we finally we got the words where they are today. Also, I have to talk about the art a little bit and how that interacts with the text. Again, Drew Beach, you mentioned, she's from Houma. So Houma, as you know, is surrounded by the wetlands, and she was an amazing artist who did a great job with the book, lots of layers in it. And so I was very privileged to be able to work with her and collaborate with her on this book. And then UL Press was fabulous about helping us with this. They gave us artistic freedom. They gave us extra time when Drew's house was hit by a tornado in the middle of the art. So it was great working with them. They came up with a beautiful book design and a beautiful printer. So I really think we have a lovely book that is representing Louisiana at the National Book Festival this year, and I hope you agree.
I certainly do agree. And that was so interesting. Thank you for sharing that information. Uh, uh, I know many people don't know how much goes into writing a book that they're not aware of. They just see the final product. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed hearing that from you. I want to thank you for your time, and also thanks for your session of our 2021 virtual Louisiana Book Festival, which is available on our festival YouTube channel. And we hope to see you at our live in-person festival this year on Saturday, October the 29th, in our state capital of Baton Rouge. Thank you, Gayle.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.